This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome back to the Fan Reporter Show, made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and sitting right across from me after a 2-week layoff is my boy Andrew, who's going to give us this week's topic.
We've hit the halfway point in the Lions preseason. The results have been less than stellar. We touched on some main takeaways before taking a ride on the Lions rumor mill. It's the Fan Report.
It's the Fan Report. Tonight on network television.
On network television.
Oh, man. All right. Well, guys.
I wonder if we could, stream the pod.
Of course we could.
For visual
Of course we could.
people.
I mean, dude, we could stream it live on Twitch, at the same time. We could stream it. We could stream it on YouTube. We could stream it on Facebook. We could stream it on Twitter. It doesn't matter. We can stream it wherever we want. It's
so I should have to put clothes on for this next time then, or
I at least recommend pants. We heard the man. We're going to be talking about some Lions preseason stuff. Give some of our takeaways. Talk about some of the depth issues with this team and what we've seen from some of the younger guys and their showing so far in the preseason and what we can expect of them in terms of playing time, effectiveness, production, I should say. But Andrew, go ahead and kind of start things off with your take on preseason so far.
yeah,
We'll go from there.
Yeah, our first two games were kind of ugly. And I think what I was most worried about watching these two games is the defense did not look good. I mean, yeah, obviously the starters are not playing much, but from what we saw,
I mean, they're also missing some key pieces in that starting rotation, though. You expect Mike Daniels to come in and make an impact. You expect, Darius Slay's actually played a lot of snaps for way more than we expected.
I will say the two guys that I have been happy with, the two rookies, Will Harris and Johnny Devay. I've been pleased with their performance in the preseason, as limited as it has been. But just in general, I'm not taking anything with the offense because everything I see on the offense take on the grain of salt because, one, you don't have your starting quarterback playing, obviously.
Obviously, the Lions are in big trouble if they don't have Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know,
Yeah.
as would most teams without their starting quarterback.
Exactly. But also, the fact that Matt Prater hit an 87-yarder is really encouraging.
Okay, that was a Bleacher Report error.
So for those who don't know, Bleacher Report sent out a notification during the Lions preseason game
So special
over the weekend.
teams looks great is what you're telling me.
That Matt Prater hits an 87-yard field goal.
Well, was it actually 47?
I actually don't remember. I was so engrossed.
That was from the Texans game,
I was so engrossed with the 87 number.
It was a Texans game, right?
Yeah, it was Texans.
It would have been a 49-yarder.
There you go.
So there you go. So they got both numbers
49,
wrong.
87. It doesn't matter.
Same thing, right?
49. How do you get 87 from 49?
Someone fat-fingered a lot of things.
More than fat finger. Jesus Christ.
Something I thought was a little bit interesting is the kick returns and punt returns. No Ty Johnson. And that's something I thought Ty Johnson was going to have an impact in. I figured that they were going to lessen Jamal Agnew's workload in the kick return game just because of the fact that he's got that injury risk and, you worry about that. But he took 2 returns himself, and Brandon Powell came in as the secondary guy to return some kicks as well. And then on punt returns, it was Tommy Lee Lewis, Jamal Agnew, and Tom Kennedy who returned punts. So no Ty Johnson, which is fairly surprising considering what we've heard about him being an electric return man. I'm curious to see if that's going to change at all. So, because I thought that was kind of his big ticket to make this roster was the special teams opportunities that he's going to get, but we haven't seen him out there. He is getting a decent workload in the backfield, but albeit not very effective thus far. I mean, he only he rushed 4 times for 11 yards and caught a ball for 9. Yeah. So 20 total yards and 5 touches. I mean, that's not very good efficiency there.
Sticking on the Stafford topic, though, are you cool with them just letting him sit out?
I actually like it.
Do you want him to get some run in the preseason?
No, I actually like it. And I can understand the argument that people have of, new offensive coordinator. We need to get him some run and some live action. However, it's preseason. Are people outside of the third stringers fighting for a roster spot? Are your top 2 lines that he would face running full bore? Are they really trying to go after it, or are they really trying to get after it that badly to risk a potential injury? And I'm going to say most likely not. Some guys maybe, some probably aren't. And for that reason alone, what exactly is he going to learn in the 2 series or half of a preseason game that he's about his offense that he's not going to learn in either joint practices or practice with his own team and walkthroughs? That's what training camp's for, is to go through walkthroughs, learn the offense, learn the terminology, learn the snap counts, things like that. You learn that in the practices. You just put them in action in the preseason games and find out what you got there. Stafford's a 10-year vet. He doesn't need to find out what he's got here. He knows what he's got.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows what he's got. So he just needs to focus on learning the terminology, learning the timing, things like that, and walkthroughs in practice and not get hurt. So
do you think he sits games 3 and 4?
I think that he should. I think he'll definitely say game 4 because everybody does.
Yeah.
But I think we may see him for maybe a quarter at most in the third game at most. I'd be shocked to even see him that much. And frankly, I don't even want to see him that much.
Yeah.
There's not much more value to it's a risk reward kind of thing. There's with the amount of risk involved with him being in there going up against guys who are obviously trying to hit him. The risk outweighs the reward of what he could potentially learn about the offense and the offensive game plan and system by being in that game. Because how much more is he able to learn in a preseason game more over a training camp walkthrough or training camp live practice? What extra is he learning there? I mean, I'm not an NFL football player. I don't know how valuable that time is exactly. I can take a guess. I'll tell you right now, it doesn't look that valuable to me.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is just getting used to the Joe Bell's system, but you can do that in practice.
Exactly. You can do that in live practices and scrimmages and joint practices. You can understand. And honestly, you can even make the argument that the walkthroughs and live practices that they do in training camp may even be more valuable because they can identify a problem right away and say, no, stop. Do this, not that, run it again.
Yeah.
You can identify a problem right away and then get the muscle memory in your head of how to fix that.
Yeah.
And do it right away. Not wait until you're off the field so your OC or your quarterback coach can yell at you and tell you that you did this wrong, and then wait another 5 minutes before you even go back out on the field if you do. Practice allows you to get that muscle memory in your head right away of the proper motion to make on any given situation. Plus, you're also able to practice plays more than one at a time. If there's a play that you like in the red zone and you want to run it a lot, you have the ability to do that in red zone practices. You don't have the ability to do that in a game. You may not even ever get to the red zone with Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
So you're able to practice far more things, figure out a lot more about what you got and what your system is in a live practice than you are inside of a preseason game. The risk reward just is not there. It's far higher of a risk than the actual possible reward is that's there. The only thing I can really see is getting the timing down with your line and your receivers and things like that in a live action game. I get that aspect, but again, how much of that is going to be there in the amount of time he's going to play?
Agreed.
So, again, not in my opinion, just not worth the risk of him potentially getting hurt. There's just not much reward there. We know what he's got. He's a 10-year vet. He's been in the league for a long time. He's shown an ability to be an excellent quarterback. So give him allow him to watch film, allow him to utilize practice in training camp to learn and exercise the terminology and drill it into his head if you have to. You can't drill something like that into their head on repetition in a preseason game. You can only do that in training camp and practice.
Yeah. And speaking of guys getting hurt, I mean, we lost Jermaine Kearse in the first game of the preseason.
Yeah, he's
a broken leg.
Did you see the slow-mo video of his leg?
It's not pretty.
Oh, it's ugly. Oh, God, it was ugly. Ooh.
I think gruesome is the best word to describe that one.
Yeah, he's done. Needless to say, he's done for the year. He's most likely not coming back.
So it leaves us, I mean, we saw our starters, Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones. And then,
which Marvin Jones is also banged up.
Well, yeah, and then Danny Amendola in the slot. Mm-hmm. But the depth right there is a little inspiring. Chris Lacey, Andy Jones, Brandon Powell.
Of guys that'll likely actually make the roster, you're looking at Brandon Powell,
Travis Fulgham,
maybe Tommy Lee Lewis, maybe. I mean, in terms of your receivers, outside of your primary three,
it's not the most
inspiring. It takes
group.
a big drop off.
Yeah.
So they're going to need to be. So the depth at that position is a little bit iffy, especially considering some of their upper end guys have had a history of being banged up in their careers. Danny Amendola has missed some time. I believe Marvin Jones has missed some time. Has Kenny Galladay missed time yet? I don't know. I know he was banged up at one point, but I don't think he's actually missed time. So they need to add some depth to that position. And that is obviously a concern. I thought Jermaine Kearse was going to be an excellent number 3 or number 4 option for Matthew Stafford. I was very happy when they brought him in. Very sad to see the situation he's going through right now because it not only sucks for him, but it sucks for his team as well. I would have liked to see him in a Lions uniform make something happen. However, now it's time to move on, next man up, and see what we get here. Now, there are guys, if you wanted to go the route or free agency, they do have some money to play with. There are some guys out there that are available.
One name that's been heavily linked, Dontrell Inman.
Yes, he was linked actually before he signed to the Patriots. He was linked to the Lions early in the offseason as someone that they could potentially target. And the Patriots swiped him up, and now they've he's asked for his unconditional release from the Patriots. Who knows what happens in that situation, but if the Lions do end up, or if Inman does get his unconditional release, do you want the Lions to potentially pursue that?
Well, he is visiting the Lions. He did get his release.
Oh, he did.
Yes.
Last I had read was earlier today that he had just asked for his release.
And he does he is set to visit the Lions. I'm not sure if it's tomorrow or it's in the next day or so, according to NFL Network. This is as of Monday, so probably by the time you guys listen to this, the visit probably would have happened. We may have even signed him by the time you listen to this, but
maybe.
But no, just looking at that depth, I'll take what we can get. Don Schulman's not a bad receiver by any means. He's a good receiver.
He's had some very effective years with the Chargers in years past. I would be very happy with him being our 3rd or 4th option. It's exactly what he was in L.A. for the Chargers. So I'd have no issue bringing him in here. It brings another weapon into it's just another guy that Matt Stafford can throw the ball into. So we could use that.
We could definitely use that.
Because, frankly, we hope and expect Kenny Galladay to become a number 1 receiver this year. But do we really know? No. We hope and expect Marvin Jones to continue a run of success that he's had in his career here. Do we know? No. I would hope so. And Danny Amendola is a number 3 option. We expect him to be a solid guy. He's not going to put up huge numbers, but beyond that, it's nothing but question marks all the way down that depth chart. So bringing in a guy like Inman, who is less of a question mark, and a guy who's got a track record of being able to be effective in his role, I think it'll more than help out the Lions. I think it'll be an excellent addition to that wide receiver locker room, or that wide receiver room, that depth chart there, to give another weapon to our quarterback.
Absolutely. And you mentioned to me another name that the Lions have been attached to that I completely missed. But
so this isn't something that has gained any kind of national attention yet. I don't think there's any real talks going on. This is just something that's been thrown around between some beat reporters from, I believe, both teams, and some people who have, quote unquote, sources on the inside. Whatever the hell that means. There are rumors of, considering the situation going on in Los Angeles right now, there are potential rumors of the Lions possibly going after running back Melvin Gordon from the Chargers and adding him to their running back core. Now, the deal that I have heard thrown out for Melvin Gordon has been right tackle Rick Wagner and a 6th round pick for Melvin Gordon, which is very intriguing. Because if you ask me, it's not exactly a high asking price. Rick Wagner has not been stellar here in his time here.
I never understand the asking price in the NFL because it always seems way too low. Like,
it either seems way too low or astronomically high. Like the asking price for Khalil Mack was astronomically high, and it happened. Then you look at other guys, and it's like that's all.
It comes to the caveat they're going to have to pay the man, but
right, and obviously that situation with Melvin Gordon. But Andrew, how would you feel about the Lions being connected? How do you feel about the rumors of Lions being possibly connected to Melvin Gordon and the Chargers, and whether or not you would like to add him into this locker room?
Well, I mean, I'd always love Melvin Gordon. He's one of my favorite running backs in the NFL, and I mean, he's obviously going to be great for the Lions, but
he'll be the best running back they've had since Barry.
Yeah, but
no question.
It begs the question: what do you do with Carry-On? That's why I don't know if I like this. Do I really want to pay Melvin Gordon top dollar when we have Kerryon coming in his second year. We spent a high draft pick on him. He had a promising rookie season. Do we really want to just throw that away now and pay
promising
Melvin
rookie
Gordon top
season
dollar?
until he got hurt, which he was banged up in college as well. There's a lot of durability concerns with Kerryon Johnson, and there's no question Melvin Gordon is an upgrade to Kerryon.
And Melvin Gordon doesn't have his durability concerns,
right?
I mean,
Do I have faith in Kerryon Johnson to be a very good running back? Absolutely. Damn it.
so close.
It's got to happen, right? Absolutely, I do. I think
any
Kerryon,
fiery topics today.
No.
Still manage.
I have utmost faith in Kerryon, and you know what? I expect Kerryon to be an upper echelon running back in the NFL. I think he's got the talent and the ability to be there. I think this offense can be good enough. I think there's pieces around him that can open up enough lanes for him to make it happen.
Yeah.
Durability is the biggest question mark for me with him. Now, if the Lions were to do this, they would be heavily investing in that backfield.
Yes.
Which, honestly, looking at the Lion, who's calling the plays for the Lions, it makes a lot of sense. Because the Seahawks, under Darrell Bevell, have always been a team to heavily invest in the running game and in their backfield in particular.
You'd have a legit 300 monster. The problem is Kerryon probably relegated to pass catching.
I would bet you that. Well,
CJ ain't going to do it.
CJ and Melvin Gordon probably take care of the short yardage situations, and Kerryon would definitely be much more of your pass catching back.
You're definitely going to give Melvin Gordon like the majority of the run.
Yes, he would get the majority of the run. CJ would get short yardage situations and a little bit of a little bit of spells here and there on hurry up offense or things like that. And I'd expect Kerryon to be relegated to change of pace situations and pass catching duties, which honestly, the way he's progressed as a running back, that's not a bad gig for him. I think he could be very successful in that role. And you could also even see, and this is what I think that they could potentially do and would make a lot of sense, is considering the durability concerns of Kerryon Johnson as well as Melvin Gordon. You could see a little bit of a two-headed monster in the backfield between Gordon and Kerryon and split some duty to keep the legs fresh.
I think Gordon would be not too happy splitting carries.
I don't think it matters. Frankly, he's going to get the workload he gets because you got to remember he's on a 1-year deal now. So if he's not happy here, he's not happy here. Yeah. But the Lions are going to get the most out of him in this season, and then we'll see what happens in the offseason. If it comes with the caveat of you got to pay the man, well, you got to pay the man. But at that point, you've got some flexibility to work with. You're able to keep both guys who have some durability concerns fresh, keep their legs good, keep their knees healthy, keep their bodies in shape, and allow maybe even for a playoff push with some fresh legs in the backfield.
Yeah,
that sounds great to me. However, it's going to come at a big price.
It's going to come at a big price, and for me, I don't know.
Does the benefit?
Maybe I hold Kerryon in too high regard because I really value his development, and I didn't want to see something to stunt that. So that's.
I do too, but see, this is kind of where I'm teetering on this. I would I'm on the God, I can't even talk. I'm on the. Yeah, I kind of want to see this because no matter what, it is an upgrade in our backfield. Yep. You're bringing in a top-tier running back into your backfield to make your offense electric. He immediately turns this offense into something that it hasn't been, honestly, ever. Because when have we had a quarterback pairing of a top-tier running back and a quarterback who can make any throw on the football field at times? When have we ever had as this good of a quarterback?
Scott Mitchell and Barry Sanders.
Yeah, okay. When have we had this good of a quarterback and that good of a running back together in this organization? At least not in my lifetime. Because I'll take Matt Stafford over Scott Mitchell.
John Kitna and Kevin Smith. James.
Sure.
Jones. We had a lot of Kevin. No, there was Kevin Smith and Kevin Jones.
I know. There's Kevin Smith and Kevin Jones. There's two Kevins. And I always used to get them confused because didn't they wear the same number too? Didn't they both wear 34?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so it was like confusing as hell.
Kevin Jones, I loved.
I did too. Didn't he have like really? Yeah, that was it. He had
foot
really
injuries.
He had foot injuries. Remember Mikel Leshore? How excited we were to grab him.
Hyped when we got Mikel Leshore.
And then he like tore his Achilles tendon and never touched the football field again.
In like training camp.
Yeah.
Javid Best was a beast, and then
Javid Best was their own damn fault. Dude had 4 concussions in college. Yeah. He was bound to get more in
Do you ever see that video of the Javid Best, like the bad one in college?
Yeah, I thought the guy died.
It's scary.
I thought he died. concussions are not something you mess with.
You went like a catatonic state. Like it was.
Now, Andrew, my question for you is, let's play some hypotheticals here for a minute. Say the Lions do trade for Melvin Gordon. That impacts two positions, and make the trade that I said that I've seen thrown around of Rick Wagner and a 6th-round pick for Melvin Gordon. Say the Lions make that trade. That impacts two different position groups. What do you see happening with the offensive line, and what happens with this backfield depth chart? And I'm mainly referring to guys like Zach Zenner, Ty Johnson, Mark Thompson, the guys at the back end of the depth chart. What happens there?
I think a guy like Zach Zenner gets cut.
I would probably agree.
Ty Johnson's probably the guy that stays between the two if you're choosing between those two, just because of the change of pace he offers behind Melvin Gordon, and he offers more of that pass catching ability.
Couldn't you technically say that he would end up being relegated to the same role that Carry-On's in? Then
you could very much.
Which then I would obviously rather keep Carry-On over Ty.
I know, but are you going to call both Ty and Zach Center?
I would keep Zach Zenner because he's more of a sure thing on the goal line.
Couldn't you argue he has the same role as C.J. Anderson, or is it Melvin Gordon on the goal line?
C.J. Anderson's nowhere near as big as Zach Zenner.
I know, but it's named Melvin Gordon on the goal line as well.
I don't think he's anywhere near as big as Zach Zenner. I can look that up to be sure, but I think Zach Zenner would still be, your situation. Zach Zenner's like a fullback on this roster more than anything.
Well, we do have a fullback on this roster.
He's 6 feet tall. Let's check his weight here. 222. What's C.J. Anderson?
I just think you'd keep a guy that's more change of pace than Melvin Gordon and C.J. Anderson.
He's 225, so maybe, but he's only 5'8".
But as far as the getting rid of Rick Wagner in the offensive line, I mean, we really lost T.J. Losing Rick,
he's 207.
That would really worry me. I mean, you do have the benefit of getting one of the best blocking tight ends in the draft in Isaac Nada, but.
And T.J. Hawkinson coming into the league looks like he's got some ability to block as well.
But
the name I've heard thrown around.
I want to keep this offensive line intact as much as possible.
Well, Rick Wagner hasn't exactly been very good for the Lions. He's been okay to solid, but he hasn't been able to repeat what he did and what caused him to earn the contract he's gotten. Yeah. He's had a lot of injuries in his time here, and he's not been as effective. I think he had a little bit better of a year last year than he did prior, but the name that I've seen thrown around that would fill into that right tackle spot is Tyrell Crosby, who we drafted a few years ago. He's shown an ability to fill into that.
Sidney Crosby?
No. He's shown an ability to fill into that spot and may be effective. I don't know. I'd be curious to see what the butterfly effect would be, the ripple that would happen if the Lions were to make a move like this. What would happen? What the heck was that? That was weird. What would happen with guys like Zach Zenner and Ty Johnson? What would happen with the offensive line on the right side in particular? What would happen with Carry-On? There's a lot of big questions that would come out of this, and some of them I don't necessarily like. I'm with you on the whole. I am very intrigued and very excited about Carry-On's development. I don't want to see that stunted. However, there is also, like I said, the part of me that says it is an upgrade. And if we're going to be trying to go for something, an upgrade is good. But I still have a lot of belief in Carry-On, so I'd prefer to keep it the way we have. Yeah. I think Carry-On could be a very effective running back in today's NFL.
I 100% agree. Do you have anything else to add about the Lions preseason? I do have a little fun little thing we can throw in at the end here if you unless you have something else to add, we can keep going on the preseason.
Well, there's been a very reoccurring thing I've heard out of camp about Matthew Stafford in particular is inconsistency. We've seen situations where he's thrown quite a few picks. We've seen situations where he's missed throws. Does this give you any cause for concern on him and his ability to read the defense as well as pick up the offensive game plan?
See, that's what I'm saying. I would expect some hiccups as you pick up a whole new offense. But I would hope at this point in Stafford's career that he is becoming a quarterback who can make adjustments on the fly. That's the thing I've been asking from Stafford from the beginning.
That's what sets apart your elite quarterbacks and good quarterbacks. And guys like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, they make adjustments at the line.
And that's the one thing I've been asking from Stafford since, I wouldn't say since the beginning, but since a few years in the league, once he started really coming to his own. And
which I think we saw it for like 1 or 2 years, and then they took it away from him. They entirely took it away from him. I don't expect to. I honestly expect to see a very muted Matthew Stafford under Darryl Bevell's offense. You did.
He would never,
and that didn't last long.
He would never use Lombardi's play calls.
I don't blame him. Next question, Andrew, is. But
just to finish, so I would say it's slightly worrisome, but I'm not like anywhere near panic mode because I do expect some hiccups.
I'll kind of agree with you. It does worry me a little bit because this is this late in training camp. I would hope he's got a lot of those wrinkles out.
Yeah.
A lot of the timing things that you'd expect them to wrinkle out. I would hope that they would have gotten them done by now. But I mean, sometimes things take time. It doesn't worry me too much because Matt Stafford is an experienced quarterback in this league, and he is a good quarterback in my eyes. I don't think he's great. He is a good quarterback, and I think he's able to lead an offense, and I think he'll be able to pick this up and be all right.
I just wonder if those picks are mainly being caused by he's expecting the receiver to zig when he zags, or is it more he's legitimately missing throws like he was last season?
Well, it's a little of both from what I've heard. It is a little bit of both where he is missing some throws here and there, and he's not putting the ball in the right spot, and there's also some miscommunication situations, or he...
Because I'm expecting a lot of the miscommunication, a lot of I thought this route was what this guy was running, and he ran a different route. And
it's a little bit of both. Yeah. There is a little bit of both there. I mean, it's not as bad as the situation that happened the other day in San Francisco in their training camp where Jimmy Garoppolo threw 5 straight picks. But honestly, that doesn't
even happen.
Honestly, though, in reality, that doesn't bother me that much. Like, I'm not that upset about that because the guy's still really young. Yeah, exactly. He's a very talented quarterback.
I'm just curious how it happened. That's all.
Right. Now, last question before we go on into your little fun little shindig. You got 3 quarterbacks in the roster, not including Tom Savage. You got 3 quarterbacks in the roster that are active. You can only keep 2. Who are you keeping? David Fales or Josh Johnson? Because you're obviously keeping
based on
Stafford.
preseason performance, probably David Fales.
Well, David Fales was terrible.
He was terrible against
the
Patriots. He really improved.
He did really improve in week 2.
I haven't seen. I can't say the same about Josh Johnson though.
Josh Johnson is a proven NFL quarterback. Yeah. That's the difference. Is he's also a guy who's got some ability to make plays with his legs. He filled in actually pretty nicely for the Redskins last year.
Because I'll be like, am I excited about either of these guys? No.
You're not supposed to be excited about a backup quarterback.
I know, but it'd be nice.
I mean, let's be real here.
Sean Hill. That's what I'm looking for. All right.
But that guy is impossible to find. That was a borderline starting caliber quarterback in the NFL.
That was my favorite
playing backup.
That was my favorite backup we've had.
That's the only backup I've ever heard anybody get excited about.
That's my favorite backup we've had since Dante Culpepper. Remember we had him.
Yeah, but Culpepper sucked here.
I was like, oh my god,
Culpepper was good in like 2001.
I was like, he used to tear us in pieces with Minnesota. He's gonna launch it here in Detroit. Nope, he doesn't have receivers launch it.
And he sucked.
Here's the thing: we don't have Randy Moss. That's the problem.
That's a big problem. And I believe he also had Chris Carter at one point too. Didn't he? Or was that Cunningham?
No, but I'm saying I think when he was here, I think he had Roy Williams, if I'm not mistaken.
He might have. I don't remember.
That's about it. I honestly do think Roy Williams is an underrated receiver in Lions history.
There's one other backup I used to really like to see. What?
So I do think Roy Williams is a really underrated receiver in Lions history.
He was a good receiver. Yeah. His attitude just sucked.
No, his attitude sucked. Yeah.
I hated the guy.
He just had the tools,
good receiver. Man. He's a dickhead though. Mm-hmm. Let's be real. One backup quarterback in years past that I actually used to be a fan of, and I liked him a lot, and I always got excited when he came in, was a guy by the name of Mike McMahon. I just remember the dude had an absolute cannon for an arm.
He had arm, like his arms
were huge.
The size of my face.
Dude had a cannon for an arm, and I believe he backed up Joey Harrington, if I remember right. And obviously nobody liked Joey here, so when he came in, it was pretty exciting. But Mike McMahon was a guy I always used to get excited about. Obviously not as much as Sean Hill. When Sean Hill came in, I still felt comfortable, but. Again, those guys like that are impossible to find. You don't find backups like that. A name that I have heard though, and this is one that was really interesting to me, and I want to know your thoughts on this. Is I saw this thrown around on Twitter, and I don't know if there's any actual legitimacy to this at all, but I did see this thrown around by a few different people. Is if the Lions backups don't show any ability to run the offense at a good enough pace or a good enough efficiency, what would you think about the Lions bringing Sam Bradford in to be their backup quarterback?
I don't hate it because I think Sam Bradford as a backup actually has a chance to stay healthy for when we need him.
And Sam Bradford would immediately be the most talented backup in the NFL. Like
exactly.
He's a good quarterback.
Like your only real knock against Sam Bradford is he cannot stay on the field.
If he stayed healthy, he would have absolutely lived up to his hype coming into the league because I mean, you saw him in the year with Minnesota. He broke the record for highest completion percentage. Granted, that was the offense they ran because they also made Case Keenum look really good. But Sam Bradford is actually a legitimately good quarterback. It's he could never stay healthy.
I remember I cashed on that Sam Bradford in fantasy. I drafted him, then I flipped him for Mike Vick when he was on the Eagles, and he was still like the good season of the Eagles. And I rode Mike Vick all the way to the finals. Still lost the finals, but
damn, that was years ago.
Yeah,
I actually was talking to someone today. Talking about fantasy football here.
I was just feeling so many offers for Sam Bradford at the time because everyone wanted him. I'm like,
right,
I got him.
I was talking to someone today about fantasy football, like back in the day, like way back in the day when IDPs were a lot more common, and you didn't have internet scoring. I guess it would be you ran your leagues on pen and paper. And you had to like wait until Wednesday to find out if you won a game because the scores had to be tallied up throughout the week. Like, how much would you hate that? Because you and I both know that we're both ultra competitive when it comes to fantasy football.
I already know what you'd be doing. You'd be telling the scores yourselves. I'm not fucking waiting.
I literally would be writing things down myself. And could you imagine, like, you would have to guess that the scoring was a lot more simple back then. Yeah. No bonuses, things like that. Yeah. But the fact to add IDPs into that as well, I mean, that would just be so complicated. I would hate... That would be too much work to be a commissioner back then. Like, being a commissioner now is fun, because all you do is you run your league, you make a few decisions here and there, and you talk trash. That's about it. You lead the trash talking. But being a commissioner back then, where you have to like keep track of everything and check box scores on everything, that'd be a lot, man. That'd be a lot of work. You'd have to have some help, obviously. But being in a league back then would just be so different from today. It'd be. I never got to experience it, obviously, because I'm just a youngin, you know, 20, a fresh 26 years old. But it would be interesting to be in a league like that. But I would probably hate it because, you know me, I check my fantasy scores every 5 minutes. Nothing could happen with any of my players. I'd still check it in that time frame. No, they couldn't. They wouldn't. It could be halftime. I'd still check it. Why? I don't know. It's impulsive.
When fantasy football season starts, I'm obsessive. It's
bad. Absolutely. I admit it.
Is it bad?
I have a problem.
Am I off for saying that fantasy football almost ruins watching football for me?
No, because it 100% ruins football for me. Are you kidding me? I no longer watch games anymore. I watch Red Zone. That's all I watch. Like I don't watch games anymore. Like, and I'll be honest, that's like one of the biggest problems with the NFL now, and why their ratings go down is because of fantasy. Because people aren't watching games. They're not sitting and watching a 2-3 hour long game. They're sitting and watching fantasy scores
because they want players. They don't care what the outcome of the game is. They want players.
Yes. I will say the one thing that I hate about Red Zone is they'll show games that I have no stake in. And then I'm like, God, I don't want to watch this. It'll be like the Raiders and the Bengals. They go to
the quadruple box.
Yeah, I like that, though. But they'll show like the especially when you get near the half times, when like a certain game, when all the other games have stopped, except for the one game that's always a terrible game. Like it's going to be like Raiders and Bengals.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a Raiders and Bengals game, and nobody has any players in your matchup on this in these games, and you're going, why are we watching this? Like this is terrible. This is one, bad football. Two, it's Red Zone bad football. So it's even worse.
The other thing that ruined for me is Thursday Night Football because I
Thursday Night Football is terrible.
I know, but what I'm saying is like. I dread Thursday because I don't like it when I have players playing Thursday night. I don't like when my opponent has players playing Thursday night. I just don't like it.
Thursday night and Monday night games I hate.
Like it could be a great game on Thursday Night Football. I still dread Thursday Night Football because I'm like
Thursday Night Football. If you have
it either
a guy
ends your fantasy week early or it ends your fantasy or well in general it ends your fantasy week early.
Right. It's scary as hell from either side because. So many times do we see just random guys do something on Thursday because the guy that you would expect to do good is too damn tired.
Yep.
He only got 3 days of rest.
Exactly.
And then Monday nights drive me nuts too because you just never know what's going to happen on a Monday night.
But he's got one guy left.
Right, and you're like, oh God, now I have to watch Monday Night Football.
Guy goes off for 40 points and you lose.
Now you have to watch Monday Night Football even though you don't give a rat's ass about the game. But you have to because the other guy you're playing has like Todd Gurley going and You got to hope he doesn't beat you by 35.
Yeah.
Monday night and Thursday night should not be a thing. Football, Sunday only. That's how it should be. College football Saturday, high school Friday, NFL Sunday. Nothing else. That's all we need. You want to throw one game Monday night here and there? Fine. Good, great, grand, wonderful. But Sundays only. Football is a weekend thing. I don't need it to intrude on my weeks. Let us have a break. It is a lot. I get tired. Fantasy's stressful. I don't need to be stressed all throughout the week. I already am. I already am staring at the waiver wire, even though I'm not going to make any moves. I just stare at the waiver wire. Why? I don't know. I have a problem. I've said this.
It's an addiction.
It is.
What if they
it seriously is.
What if they AA but for fantasy? Well, my name is Andrew. I'm a fantasy football addict.
The FFA. Fantasy, or FFAA.
You're in the middle of a meeting. You're checking your phone. Andrew, are you using again? God.
Give me your coin. It is an addiction. It really is. And honestly, it is just football.
Yeah.
Like football, I don't even know if I can consider football to be my favorite sport. I don't even know if I can. But fantasy football is hands down my favorite fantasy game.
Oh, absolutely.
Hands down. Like fantasy basketball's it's good. It's not great in my mind. It's good. I think fantasy basketball has a lot of flaws. And fantasy baseball and fantasy hockey, I just can't get into. I love baseball. I grew up playing it. I can't get into fantasy baseball. I played it a couple of years. It's just too much. Too much.
I think the thing with fantasy basketball is, unlike fantasy football, it's not compatible with different formats.
Right.
There's one format of fantasy basketball really works, and that is your normal head-to-head categories. Like, you try the points format, it's stupid.
And even that, though,
because there's no strategy involved. Just get the guy
even head-to-head categories has flaws too, because you can stack your roster to based on one, a few categories, so you always guarantee that. Yeah, but at that point, then it's one guy controlling the entire league. Very rarely do we ever see.
It's a risky strategy because you lose one of those heavy hitters,
right?
Your team's done.
But very rarely in fantasy basketball do we see the standings fluctuate at all.
Yeah,
in fantasy football, you could see standings fluctuate throughout the course of the season several times.
Except for the league I was in last year, I started off terrible. I was like 3-7. And then I rallied. I made some key pickups. I rallied.
What, in fantasy football?
Basketball. Oh. I rallied. I made it to the championship. Lost in the championship, but
right.
Yeah. There are ways to do it.
There are ways to do it, but it's not common in fantasy basketball. Normally, especially when your standings are based on how many categories you win.
Yeah.
Not your head-to-head record.
That one was a points league. That one was a points
league.
League.
Not your head-to-head record versus say you're in a head-to-head and you beat him in categories 6-5 or 5-3 or whatever it is, however many categories you have. Your record in the season becomes 6-5 or 5-3, not 1-0.
That's the better way to do it.
What?
The 6-5.
See, I disagree because then one guy controls the entire season. You never have fluctuation.
It's the opposite actually, because when you're just 1-0, it doesn't show that it doesn't reflect the fact that you only took.
See, I think both are flawed in their own respect because I think both are flawed entirely. Because again, you won't have any fluctuation because one guy's just always going to dominate 5 or 6 categories, and he's never going to move out of that top spot or second spot. You very rarely see standings fluctuate in fantasy basketball. Fantasy football, they're always fluctuating by any given week because it's quite literally any given week in fantasy football. I mean, how many times have we seen, who was it, Mercedes Lewis go off for 25 points in 3 straight weeks? I mean, who the hell expected that to happen? But somebody had Mercedes Lewis on their roster in those 3 weeks because they had to because of either of an injury or bye weeks. And they reaped the benefits. And then you got Todd Gurley put up 50 in 2 straight weeks in the playoffs. Like, that type of stuff, just any given week, anything can happen. When it comes to basketball, you know what's going to happen. Like, sure, somebody's going to have an off night every now and then. But you have a good idea of what's going to happen in those matchups throughout the week.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about fantasy football is there's a little bit of a feeling and a sense of randomness to it versus basketball. There's just really not. You know what I mean? Like, sure, every now and then you're going to have a random guy go off, but nobody's going to have him on the roster. At least in football, when someone goes off, there's a good chance he's on someone's roster. Whether or not he plays them, well, that's a different story.
All right, let's close this off with this. This is a little fun thing. So Riley Nesbitt of Fanside threw out a hot take that that Detroit Pistons on Tom will be a 3-point asset in 2019-2020. Now, let me give you his 3 points. No pun intended.
Okay, that was good.
His first point, and I would like you to refrain from commenting until I finish all 3 points.
I'll do my best.
His first point is he points to Brooke Lopez as a beacon for how a big can develop into a stretch big, as if Brooke Lopez is the same player as Drummond at all. He also points to how and then his second point he calls the Giannis method, where he's talking about how secretive Giannis is always his workouts, and this offseason Drummond has been very secretive with his workouts. And
no, he hasn't.
And he said he's posted one video, and it's him hitting threes. And then
except he missed a few in that video.
His third is, in order to really fit into Dwayne Casey's system, he needs to find a way to become a stretch big, is his third point. On a scale of there are lizard people in the sewers, so the moon's made of cheese, how much do you buy into this?
How about the Earth is flat? Wow. I'm going to use one of his own points against him. If Drummond is so secretive with his workouts, how in the hell does he know that Drummond's going to be a 3-point asset?
His point is like when.
And first off, Giannis is secret with his workouts, and yet we're seeing no return in terms of his jump shot.
Yeah.
So why are you using that model as a model of success for a development in a shot pattern for Drummond? If Giannis still can't shoot, what makes you think, because his work, even though his workouts are secretive, what makes you think Drummond's workouts being secretive is going to mean he can shoot now? Drummond hasn't shown an ability to hit a 10-footer, let alone a 24-footer.
Well, basically what he's trying to get at is, like, with the secretive workout thing, is he's trying to combat the argument that we're not seeing Drummond work on his three-point shooting this offseason, and he goes, no, he's having secret workouts. That's what he's trying to...
Secret workouts. What are we in, like, second grade? Oh, are you working out? No, it's a secret. Shh. Like, come on. First off, cameras are everywhere. We know he's working on it. It's obvious. Yeah. Second off, who cares? Yeah. Like, honestly, first off, I just want to see the man develop a reliable post game.
First.
A reliable 10-footer.
Let's work our way back.
Let's work our way from the 5-footers to the 10-footers to the 15-footers. If Drummond were to develop a reliable 15 to 18-foot jump shot in the NBA, I would remove any negative comment I have about the man. In terms of his offensive game. Defensive game is a little bit different. Yeah. But in terms of his offensive game, if he developed a reliable 15 to 18-footer, I would shut my mouth. But we haven't seen even an ability to do that. Did he even take anything in that range last year? Because I don't recall seeing it. I saw him take a few threes and brick them all over the place. Well, what did it take him, like a month to make a three last year? Yeah. And Brooke Lopez is not a good model to use.
Remember the game where we hit a three and the crowd just went nuts?
Yeah. And using Brooke Lopez is not a good model. Brooke Lopez had a mid-range jump shot.
There could not be a more different center from Drummond in the NBA, because Brooke Lopez doesn't rebound either.
And he's not athletic. He's a smart, utilizes his ability and his intelligence and his post-game to make things happen. He was also a reliable mid-range jump shooter from the get-go. Yeah. From the get-go, Duke could hit a 15-footer. Can we say the same about Andre Drummond? No, we can't. So why would you ever use Brooke Lopez, who already had an ability to hit a jump shot, as the reason to believe in Andre Drummond to hit a three? Because Brooke Lopez can do it? Again, dude already had a jump shot, just had to expand it. And then Drummond doesn't have anything beyond 5 feet.
And then the last point he gives, the whole Dwayne Casey system thing, which wouldn't make sense if that were true, because first of all, Dwayne Casey has a big who can step out right now, and Blake Griffin. He's developed that part of his game, but
Blake Griffin developed that before he got here.
All throughout the his tenure with Toronto, he had Jonas Valanciunas as your center. He's not a 3-point shooter. He can step out and hit an occasional three. He's not a 3-point shooter.
No.
So I don't know what they're getting out of that.
He's a guy who, but again, he is a guy who already had a mid-range jump shot. He could hit a 15-footer with consistency.
But what the article was saying is that Drummond had to develop a 3-point shot to truly fit into Dwayne Casey's system, and I don't think that's true because Jonas Valanciunas did most of his work inside.
Nobody was exactly in Jonas Valanciunas' face out at the perimeter. Let's just say that there was a sag there. I just.
Anyway, I just wanted to close out.
I like Andre Drummond a lot. I think he's a very talented, very good player at times. I was a huge fan of his last year, and the way that he developed his game and the way that he just seemed like a better player last year.
I agree.
I was very happy with his development last year. I don't think the man can can be a consistent 3-point shooter at any point in this league. He doesn't have a jump shot. If you can't hit a 10-footer, you're not going to be able to hit a 20-footer. Like it's just common sense at that point. And if you can't hit a 10-footer, why in the hell are you working on a 22-footer? It doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Build your way out. The guys that they mentioned, and Jonas Valanciunas and Brook Lopez, those guys already had a mid-range jump shot, and then they expanded it. Drummond doesn't even have that. Yeah. So we're talking super baby steps here, but he's trying to take big jumps. That's not how you succeed in developing a shot.
Agreed.
Think about when you were a little kid learning to play basketball. What was your first shot? Real close. Your dad would pick you up and you just kind of throw the ball in the rim, right? Okay. Once you got a little bit stronger, you took a step back. You threw it up yourself. Once you figured you could hit that consistently, you moved back again. You did it again, and you kept moving back and back. And, hey, Dad, look how far I can shoot now. And then you jump out the 3-point line, you start making it rain. Okay.
Remember that very common method of just practicing a jump shot where you hit a close jumper, and
you take a step back and you keep going? That's quite literally one of the most popular drills to utilize in developing a shot. Yeah, I know that drill very well, in fact. Why are we skipping the middle portions of this here?
I think Drummond's still doing the mic and drill. I think that's what it's a phase he's still in. But
I think he should continue with that too, because he's still not exactly reliable down there either. He doesn't exactly shoot very efficiently inside that 5-foot range. Very good dunker, very good rebounder, very athletic.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite have a solid post game just yet.
Yeah. Anyway, so just want to close out that little hot take. But yeah, that's a show for this week, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in.
That's the problem with some of these publications is they quite literally have the
they just let anything
red,
fly.
white, and blue. Red, white, and blue glasses on, and they just let every article fly that it's painted in a positive light of the Pistons.
But yeah, that's the show for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out our live show on www.twitch.tv/thefanreport. We go live every Monday, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yes. Follow us on Twitter at RealFanReport. I don't know if you mentioned that already or not.
I did not.
Okay. Glad I did.
Now we're about to get in the thick of fantasy football season. We do a lot of fantasy football coverage on our live show. So
yes, a lot of it, and we do a lot of fantasy football talk on our Twitter as well. So if you want to get involved with that, definitely recommend. We thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Andrew, thank you for joining me, and big thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast. We're sorry we missed last week. It was just Vacation City all over the place.
Yeah.
A lot of busy times. We took we took a week off, but we are back. We're ready, and I can't wait for football season. My God, I'm so ready. My body is ready. I'm ready to get let down once again, whether by fantasy or my hometown team. One of the two is going to destroy my heart. It's just going to pierce me right in the heart once again. I still love it. Anyways, guys, thank you again. We'll catch you next week. Peace out.
Peace.